This is what you were able to build in the last video that we did on introduction to CSS. So if you just want to do a quick catch up, please go to the playlist section and look at the web development series. You'll see just all the videos that we are following through. So now to help us make this website a little bit better, we're going to just try and advance our CSS a little bit. But just as to show you what you are able to do on the HTML aspect, this is what we have, and our CSS looks like this. Now, with this, because we're already live, this is what we get. But we want to make it a little bit nicer than what you can see at the moment. So to be able to do that, I'm going to just get rid of all this. Then we can just start writing everything else again from scratch, just new CSS code. And then we'll just understand everything as we proceed. Okay, and one thing we should do, okay, we'll just be checking, it's going back and forth to check this to see whether we are writing the right thing. But I'd like us to start with styling the body tag. So because the body tag is just a tag, so we'll just type in the name, the tag, just body as a tag selector. And I want us to just pick a font first. So we're going to pick a font family. Then I want to use a font family like Arial. You can pick anyone here, Helvetica Sans Serif. That's a good font. Then I need to disable Copilot here. Okay, let me just go directly to extensions and disable it. So you can just write everything from scratch. Okay, let's go. This is just disable and restart extensions. Okay, we're good. Now that we have the font family, I'm going to give line height, and I'll give a line height of like 1.6. And then again, if you just go back and check here, you'll notice that there's some changes that have happened on the font as well. This is we have a good font there. Then I'm going to just have the basic, one of the main things that we usually do is something like a margin. You'll just give it a margin of 0 so you can start everything just building from scratch. Then you can do a padding as well of 0, and then you can give it a general color. So in for the general color, I'll just give it a hash 333. This is brown, so I'm going to just go with that one. You can just pick any other color if you want to. Then I'll just give it, that'll be the text color. Then we'll pick a background color, and let's pick a background color. I'll just use the codes here. So we'll use an F5 here, F5, which is white. You can just write as white and change everything. So when you come here, this is what you have at the moment. So you have style.css. Let me just confirm that everything is connected. Okay, and this is good here. So margin 0, padding 0. And now one of the other things that we usually do is if you want to, you can just apply this to everything in the website. So you don't have to use the body tag. You can just use the asterisk sign, which once you use it, it basically refers to everything. So it's going to apply the styling all over the application, right? So let me just try to switch this color to confirm that everything is working. Okay, so what is going on here? Looks like it's not picking up on this, even if we just turn this back again, which okay, it's not picking up on the styling that we're picking for this. And it's confirmed that everything here is as it should be. Oh, okay, yeah, I actually see why this is not working. It's because we are not live here. So I'll just go live again. And then, awesome, it's working now. So this is what we picked up. I mean, the color that I picked is pretty terrible. So let's go back to the original color that was here. Okay, this is good now. Awesome. So you can look at the color, looks a little bit better. You can see every other thing has been applied, from the font family to the line height, margin, everything. Background color as well is white. We're good. We're all set. So note that here, if you want to apply styles overall on the application, you can use the asterisk sign, which is what I recommend instead of the body tag. Yeah. Then now let's start with a few things. And let's to start with the typography. Now note that if you haven't understood what we wrote in our HTML, please refer back to the video that we did on the HTML, actually the previous videos. You'll be able to just catch up on everything here. But if you note here, we have we have H1 tags here. We also have H2 tags as well. I want to confirm that we have a H3. Okay, we also have a h3 tag here. So you have h1, h2, and h3, and I want us to style that just for the typography. So we'll just have h1, h2, h3. This is what you do whenever you want to apply styling across multiple tags. Then I'll do margin bottom. I'm gonna give it a margin bottom of about 15 pixels, and then we'll give it a color. And for this specific ones, I'll just do 444, which is that again just a different shade of the brown that we chose earlier on. And we hit save, come back here, you can be able to see there's a margin bottom that has been applied to all the h1, h2s, and h3s in our application. Now I'd like to just mention something here when it comes to when talking about typography. So there's a difference between using pixels, which is px, then we're going to also be using em. Now pixel is basically a static measurement, and basically when we're using pixels we are it's also sort of fixed as well, so that's why I refer to it as a static measurement. But em, which you're going to see this in a moment, em is basically em together with percentage, they are relative measurements. So whenever you give a size of em or a percentage, it depends on the size of the parent. And when you talk about the size of the parent, we mean the size of the container that contains that, within which that specific let's say tag that you're trying to apply the styling to is. Again, we looked at the box model, so you understand the aspect of this. So for example, if the text size of let's say body is 16 pixels, then when we pick something like percentage sign of 150% or an em value of 1.5 em, then what you mean by that is that it's going to be if you mean, okay, let me just show you with the math here. So if we have, let's say, 16 pixels for the body, right? Again, body tag in this case. Then what this is, the tag that contains what we're going to apply the em. So if you pick something like 1.5 em, what this means is that we're basically doing 1.5 times 16 pixels. So it should be 1.5 multiplied, let me just use x here, multiplied by 16 pixels, which is going to give us 24 pixels, I believe here. So that gives us 24 pixels. So this is what you mean whenever we are trying to this is what you mean whenever you're trying to apply the em values, the pixel. But pixel, remember, is static, em is relative measurement. Okay, I hope that makes sense. Same as the percentage. So now let's move on from here. Let's start with the h1s. So we already gave the h1 specific sort of styling, in this case 15 pixels. Then now let's give them a font size. So for font size, should be font size. So I'm going to give this a font size of 2.5 em. So again, this tells you that it's going to be 2.5 times larger. And let's go ahead and see that here. So you can see Bonaventure is a bit larger. It was an E1, or rather H1. Let's do the same for H2. And then for H2, let's give H2 some font size as well. Font size of 2 em. Then h3 again will just be a little bit lower than that. We'll give h3 a font size of 1.5, let's say 1.5 em. So once you save and you come here, you'll notice that there's a difference between the font sizes and they've been arranged here. So once we have that, let's also just check the paragraph. Remember, we're still at the typography here. We're going to give any paragraph tag that we have here a margin. Let's give it a margin bottom, and I'll do as well 15 pixels here. So if you come here, you saw paragraphs like this one. There's a margin bottom that has been applied, and you can see there's a bit of a distinction between the different aspects of our web application here. So that is on typography. Now let's go ahead and talk about the layout of our application. So in talk of layout, there are three main things to look at in layout. If you move to our application here, we have the header section. So we have this header section, and we also have the footer section down below. This is the footer section. So that is part of the layout. Then we have the main aspect where we've used the main tag in between here. So we have this main tag, and there are all these now individual sections that are within the main tag. So that's a daily on the layout, what you're supposed to, or rather what you're going to try and style here. Now let's start with the header. So we'll just say header, actually a header and footer, we'll just check the same styling. So I'll just do combine all of them here. So for header and footer, we can start by giving them a background color. Let's say we give them a background color, same as the background color for what you picked earlier. So 333, that shade of brown. Then we give it a color here, which is going to be text color. And on this one again, just leave it to be white. And we're going to align the text to center. So do text align center. When you come here, you'll notice that the text is aligned to the center. So that is why I'm applying this here. Again, it's applying to header and footer. So if we move to the footer, you'll see that the footer has also moved to the center, which is pretty good. Then like us to just give it a simple padding. It should be padding here. Padding, let's give it a padding of 20 pixels. Okay, now you can see there's a bit of a distinction around. Again, this is a little bit too big, I guess, but yeah, let's go on with this one for now. We can change it later. Yeah, let's just go on with this one for now. We'll change later once we see how good or bad it looks. Now, now that we have that done on the layout, let's move to the main tag. And for the main tag, I only want us to add a padding as well. So a padding of about 20 pixels. And once we hit that, this is the main part of the body. As you can see, there's a space that has been added from the corner here, which is the 20 pixels that I talked about. Then apart from the padding for 20 pixels, let's go to section tags, which are within the main tag. And for these section tags, we can also give them like a margin, let's say a margin bottom. And the reason I'm giving it a margin bottom, I just look at, again, the margin between, you can't be able to distinguish these sections really well as well. So let's give it, let's say 30 pixels and try and see how that changes. Awesome. Yeah, I think there's a bit of enough distinction between the different sections within the main tag with that. But again, feel free to just play around with some of these values. Then once we have the layout done, let's move to the navigation. Now you'll notice that this is our navigation that we have here, and the navigation bar, this aren't supposed to be aligned like this, like they're supposed to be spanned across. So to help us do that, we're going to just select the nav tag. So if you come to our code here, we have nav tag, and then instead of the nav tag is where we have the UL tag and the LI tags. So I want us to style all of these things together. Let's start with the nav tag. So we'll pick the nav tag, then we refer to the UL tag that is within the nav tag, which is what this means. Then we'll give it a list style. Okay, let me just do this here, list style. Then we give it a list style of none. What this means is that, okay, let me just do this for now. When you come here, this is what it looks like in form of a list. But if you want to remove the list style, we can give it none. So it removes any sort of bullet points that are here for that section. Then let's give it a padding. Padding of 0 should be good here. Should be 0 here. Then we can give it a text align to center, which I already did, but you need to just do this for this specific box. Then you can give it also a padding of no, we already gave it a padding. Padding of 0, we've aligned it to, okay, we already aligned everything to the center, so let's just get rid of this part here. Honestly, I don't see the point of adding it. It's already aligned to the center. Let's give it a display. Actually, yeah, display. So this is one of the main things about display of flags. So the display of flags basically changes and aligns them across like this. So this is like the flex box and how it works. Then we need to justify the content to the center. So we'll just do justify content, then you give it center, you hit save, and you can see now it has moved to the center. Okay, now that we've done that, and remember we've done this for the UL tag. So now we need to go to the individual LI tags about all that to style them well as well. And that we'll say select the nav tag, then we'll say we want the UL, the LI tags that are inside the nav and UL tags. And then to do this, we'll just style them a little bit, give it a margin. Let's say a margin of 0 by 10 pixels. So if you do this, you'll see the 10 pixels are going, 0 is for top and bottom, 10 pixels is for left and right. That is why you can see the 10 pixels applied left and right to separate everything here. Now, one of the other main things you're going to notice with this, with this navigation is that all these navigation buttons that we have here, they come underlined, and you don't want them to be underlined by default. So to do that, to do that, we can just select nav, and we say that we are referring to the anchor tags. Those underlines come when you use an anchor tag, which again, if you refer to our code here, you'll see that there's an a tag that is within there. So to get rid of that, we'll just say anchor tag, then we can let's say, okay, let's give them a color first. Let's give them, okay, I want them to be let's give them a color like let's do white, but they'll disappear in a way on this one. Let's, what else can I give it here? Okay, though the background we gave it was different. Let's confirm here. So the header and the footer, we gave it a background of that, and then we gave it color. Okay, there's some. Okay, and then we give there's the other background color that we'd given earlier here for the origin for the entire page. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of. Let's get rid of this. Then awesome. So once we get rid of that, now we have all this written out, and then we can even get rid of color because it gives it a common color all across, but we can leave it like that for now. Let's leave it like that for now. So we give it this anchor tags like that. To get rid of the underlines, we give it a text decoration. Then we say we want a text decoration of none. Once you do it, when you come back here, you'll notice that the underlines are all gone from this point, which is again what I wanted us to do here. The other thing I want us to do is now we need to bring back the underlines, but we want the underlines to appear whenever you hover over, whenever you hover over all these things here. To help us do that, we're going to just select nav, and then we say the anchor tags, and then we say on hover. This is what you do here on hover. On hover, we want the text decoration to change to underline. So now when you come back to our page and I hover over this, you see it underlines, same thing as all these other ones, which is better than having everything underlined there by default. You can adjust again, you can expand this hover as much as you want. You can even change the color of the text if you wanted to. So for example, you can change something like the color to blue on an underline. So when I hover over this, you see underlines and changes to blue, underlines changes to blue. You can do that if you want to, but I'm not going to. I'll just remove that. Then once you've done this, I think the main thing that we need to do now is we have, for example, this form down here. I think we need to style this form to just make it a little bit better. And let's style the form. So to style our form, we need to first of all select the form. So we need to select the form, and then if you, let's just see the code quickly here for the form. I think the form has a div. Awesome, yeah, the form has div, so all the input sections are enclosed in a div, in div tags there. So I'll just pick div here for this, and what we'll do here, we give it, I want to give them a margin bottom as well, because if you look at this, you can see there's no distinction between each of the forms there. So if you give it a margin bottom, and I give it a margin bottom of 15 pixels, and I hit save, you see that there's a distinction now. There's a space that has been added in between the forms, which is a good thing as well. Then now I want us to move into the label tags. So if we move to our form, you notice that there are label tags and there are input tags. Label tags are for the text that is used to name the specific input here. And for label, I want to give it a display of, just give it a display of block. And then, okay, and you just need to do Control S there. So again, note that if you want to understand what all this means, you can always hover over it and see what it means. So it says in combination with float and position, it determines the type of box or boxes that are generated for an element. It's readily available across browsers. If you want to just read about it further, you can just click on this MDN reference. Again, Visual Studio Code comes with this already, so you can be able to just go ahead and fully understand what a specific tag does if you want to go into all the super details. But again, I'm not going to do that today. Let's just continue writing our code. Then until write a margin, I'll give it a margin bottom as well. Margin bottom of, let's say, 5 pixels. Before I save, this is what the margin bottom looks like right now. So if you increase that a little bit further, you will see there's a healthy balance between the two. Okay, now that we have label sorted out, I want us to move to the input, which is where the forms are. And for the, we have input and we also have text area. So all this, they should be able to handle most of the similar stylings that are needed here. And some of this, we'll start with the width. So let's give them a width of, let's do 100%. So it's going to take a width of 100%, which you can see here goes all the way to the end. But don't worry, we're going to just make it, give it a healthy balance. Then we'll give them a padding. Let's give them a padding of, let's say, 8 pixels. Again, I'm guessing these values just to make sure that we have a healthy balance of these things. But yeah, then the other thing I want to give them is a border. So for border, we'll give it a border that is 1 pixel thick. It will be solid. And then the color of the border, let me give it a color of, yeah, let's give it this color, just a shade of white. And then come here, this is what the border looks like. It's a bit grayer, but looks good for a contact form. Then I want to give it a border radius as well. So border radius, what the border radius does is that it changes the way, basically, these corners here. You can make this smoother if you want to. You can make them circular as well if you want to, but I'll give them something like 4 pixels. Gives it like a healthy curve all along. So you can see these curves that have been here, the edges are a bit smoother on these forms, and that is what the border radius of 4 pixels is going to do here for us. And then finally, I want us to, not really finally, but the other main thing I want us to do is style the buttons that we have. So actually have only one button here, which is the send message, button that you can see right there. So let's go ahead and style the button. To style the button, we'll start with the background color for the button, and I'm going to give it a background color of this shade of brown that you're using. I'm assuming this color is called brown. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, I don't understand most of these colors. Then we give it a color of white for the text. I'm going to also give it a padding. So padding, I'll give it 10 for top bottom, and I'll give it 15 pixels for left right. Let's come here and see. This is what it looks like. And then you just add a few more things. For example, you can give it a border of none. So if you give it a border of none, the border around the button just disappears. As you can see, it has already disappeared there. And let's do a border radius here as well. So we'll do border radius, and we'll just do a small, let's do just even 4 pixels as well on this one, just to balance everything out. And you can see again really smooth, smooth on the edges there. And I also want the cursor to change. You see, like normally when you hover over a button that is active, it will change. So for example, if I hover over this, you will see that it changes to a pointer, from an arrow to a pointer. So I want to do the same for this button here. So to do that, all I need to do is just type in cursor, and then I'll just select cursor pointer. So when you come to the button and I hover over it, you see it has already changed to pointer. So that is how you add that. The other thing is, when I hover over the button, I want it to change, for example, the color. You can also just change the zoom thing if you want to, but I'll just do that. So just say button, and you want button on hover. So on hover for the button, I'll give it a background color, and let's give it a background color of this shade of gray. So let's do, when you hover over it, you can see again changes to this shade of gray, which is also pretty cool. And then yeah, okay, let me just do that for now for the button. What else can we do for application? Let's say, yeah, I think we can just deal with that for now. Then let's move to our footer. So you can see our footer, one of the main things we need to change, of course, is the color of the text there. So let's select footer. So footer, not that I'm only using the tags for now. So I'll give it a margin top for the footer. Let's give it a margin top of about 20 pixels. And then let me give it a color. This is going to be color of text, and I'll leave it to be white. So I'll select that. So when you come here, okay, this should so you have footer, margin top, color should be changing. No, actually I'll apply this color on something else for it to change the way I want it to. Let me just go back to the HTML and see. So we have footer, we have the paragraphs here. Okay, I think there might be some conflict here. Let's look at paragraph. Oh, this paragraph has margin bottom. Let me just do the color here, and I'll do it like that. So when you awesome. So that has been able to solve this. But we also have the email, which when you come here, email is an anchor tag. Okay, we have color here. Okay, I actually see why this is changing. So it's because the general color that I'm using is this one here, and which is working okay, but I should be okay. Let me go ahead to where is the paragraph that I just changed. We can just do something different. So I'll just remove this, and we'll come down here, and I'm going to change. So you have footer there. I'll leave it like that. And then I'll just do footer. And then I want to just refer to the paragraph in footer, and I'll give it a color of white, which changes that. But the other thing that remains here is an anchor tag, which I'm going to do that here as well. So just say footer, then I'll give it the a tag there, and I also give it a color, and I'm going to select the white. So you can see the contact email. We have that. Again, there's a cleaner way of doing this, but we'll just do this quick fix for now. Once we have the footer sorted out like that, I'd like us to see if okay, we have this image actually. So let's see if we can style it well. So look at the image. We have img here. Let's see if we can style it a little bit. So I'll select the image tag. Let me try to give it a max width of 100%. And this again, it just maintains 100% of the container where it is. I'll give it a height though, and I'll give it a height of auto as well, so it will be adjusting while there. And what else is going to remain here that we need to look at? I need to go to the HTML. Okay, this is the figure, which is the tag that contains everything. So I'm going to change this as well, switch that. So let's do figure. And for figure, I'm going to give it a text line of center. And once you do that, you see it aligns the image to the center, which is pretty okay. And then I'll also give it a margin, should be a margin. I'll give it a margin of 0, and also a padding of 0. That should be good for that. Then let's see something else here. Yeah, the caption, which is web developer in training. Let's see. Okay, it already comes with this, but we can try and change it well. So let me just select, it's called fig caption. And for fig caption, I'm going to give it a font style of italic. Again, you usually see whenever you publish an image on any article somewhere, the caption is usually in italicized. So that's why I'm doing this. Then I'll give it a margin top just to do the separation with the image of 5 pixels. That should be enough. Awesome. So web developer, that is cool there. And let's see something else. So there's all this text and everything that is here on this section, which is on the main section. Let's go back to main. We selected main somewhere here. Main has a padding of 20 pixels, and let's do center. And this is what it looks like. Is it Now I don't like it like this when you align everything to the center like this. Yeah, it doesn't look okay to me. I'll just remove this text align for now and leave it like this for now, which yeah. I think we can work with this for now. This looks way better than what we had before. This looks way better than what we had before. But this is simply how you go about whenever you're styling something. So with just the simple styling that you've done, you can see the massive change that has happened on our website from the sort of not good looking thing that we had earlier on. But to even just understand how to tack this website a lot further, there's a lot of things that you need to understand as well. For example, like CSS layout and positioning, how you do that with the display properties that you look at. So that is, for example, let me just give you an example here. I think we did use a display of block somewhere. Yeah, for example, here label, we gave it a display of block. This display of block, this basically refers to we want this specific element that we're using it in to take up the full width that it is given, right? So when you go to the label on this form, this it checks the full width on where it is given. But display comes in major ways as well. So you can have a display of inline. So inline, this is where you want it to only take up as much width as it needs, or as it's needed for it to take. There's inline block. Inline block is where you want it to be inline in terms of the display, but you can now have a width and a height to it, right? So that is, you can also just give it a display of none, just to hide the element. Again, not is display, just the English word and how it means. Then you can learn on how to position. So one of the things that we've seen about positioning is, let's go back to the navigation bar. So we gave it okay, not this part here. We actually haven't done position. Yeah, we haven't. I was about to talk about display, but positioning. This is when using a positioning. There's a position property in CSS, and it basically just specifies how an element is going to be positioned. So there's a position of relative, there's static, there's absolute, there's fixed, there's sticky. There are many of these positions that you need to learn about that I won't be able to fully cover in this tutorial. So what we're going to do is, in the next video, we're going to just dive a little bit deeper as well into HTML and CSS and see if there's a few things that we can change about our application to just make it better. Note that we'll just keep on improving on this website that we have here, just making it better and better. But for now, I think that this is enough for you to see some good change and just experiment on it to see how far you can be able to take your website and make it really better. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, please just try to promote this, like, share, and comment as well, so that I can just have this reach as many people as possible. Okay, I'll see you on the next one.